Hi everyone. Today we are going to see about the inlet of thorax. So, inlet of thorax. Before we see this topic of inlet of thorax, once we will have the view over the area of thorax. Now suppose if here this is the neck region, here you get upper limb and here you get the region of trunk. Okay, here, so this region, this is the neck, here you get upper limbs, and this region is nothing but the trunk. This trunk is divided by a partition called thoraco-abdominal diaphragm, which is convex upwards towards the thorax. Suppose this is diaphragm. This diaphragm divides trunk into upper part called thorax. So here you get thorax and here you get abdomen. Now in thorax you get vital organs, that is pair of lungs and heart. They are protected by the skeleton of thorax formed by thoracic cage. This thoracic cage not only protects the heart and lungs, but it also allows the change in size of these two organs. Okay, so how this thoracic cage is formed? Once we'll have the view over this thoracic cage, how is the thoracic cage form, or what are the constituents of the thoracic cage? So anteriorly, if you draw here, somewhere here, you will get in the midline, here will be the sternum. So this is manubrium sterni, and here the body of sternum and xiphoid process. So anyhow, this red color what I have drawn, this is sternum. Okay, on either side you get 12 pairs of ribs. They are, suppose here is the first pair of the rib. Like that, if you draw the outline of this rib cage, it will be like this. It will be like this. Okay, so this is the outline of the thoracic ribs, or the rib cage you can say. Okay, so there are 12 pairs of the ribs with the costal cartilages, and posteriorly you get thoracic vertebrae. Suppose here is the T1 vertebra. Okay, so thus how the skeleton of thorax is formed by the thoracic cage. Now if you see this thoracic cavity, actually the thoracic cavity is over here. It is only this much part is the thoracic cavity. So it's very clear that thoracic cavity, it appears large in size from outside. There are two reasons for this. It appears large in size in the upper part because of the shoulder and the pectoral muscles. Because of the shoulder and pectoral muscles, because thoracic cage is narrow in the upper part, and in the lower part it is encroached by the diaphragm. This diaphragm has the convexity towards the thorax, and just beneath the right dome you get liver, and just beneath the left dome you get spleen and the stomach. Okay, so anyhow, this, because of this, actually the thoracic cavity is small in size what it appears from outside. Okay, now today we are going to see about this area, that is inlet of thorax. This is actually the inlet of thorax, while the outlet of thorax, it's very clear, outlet of thorax is formed by this thoraco-abdominal diaphragm, or the diaphragm, which we will study in the other video or other class. Okay, now focusing on this inlet of the thorax. This inlet of thorax will study under different headings like synonym. So what is the other name for this inlet of thorax. Okay, then introduction, then what are the boundaries of this thorax, also thoracic inlet, then how is the shape of this inlet, size of the thoracic inlet, slope of thoracic inlet, then diaphragm of the inlet, structures passing through the thoracic inlet, structures passing through the thoracic inlet, and lastly applied anatomy. So applied anatomy. Coming to the synonym or the other name for this thoracic inlet, it is also called as the superior aperture of thorax. Superior aperture of thorax. Okay. Then introduction wise, what you can see from this diagram? Yes, it is the upper end of the thorax, or you can say upper narrow part of the thorax, which communicates this thoracic cavity with the root of neck. This lower part of the neck is called as the root of neck. Okay, so in the introduction, you'll be writing this thing. So it is upper narrow part. It is upper narrow part of thorax through which the thoracic cavity communicates with root of neck. Now coming to the boundaries. For the boundaries, I'll erase this diagram and will only focus on the area of inlet. Now if you draw the diagram for the thoracic inlet, here posteriorly you get T1, that is first thoracic vertebra. Okay, suppose here is the midline. Here anteriorly you can see the manubrium sterni, here the clavicular notch, here you get, this is the notch for the first costal cartilage. Okay, and if you see the inlet, it will have the outline like this. Suppose if I draw here, this will be the first rib. This is first rib, what I am drawing. Your head of the first rib, neck, posterior tubercle, and the body of the rib, body of the first rib. Okay, on the other side also we'll draw now. So your head, your neck, here you will get the tubercle. Okay, and here will be the shaft of the this first rib. Okay, now if you see the first rib, it articulates with the manubrium sterni through its costal cartilage. So this blue color, this is the costal cartilage of the first rib. So that's how you will be drawing the inlet. So this is manubrium sterni, this is manubrium sterni, and here you get this posterior side, this is the thoracic vertebra. Thoracic vertebra, to be specific, it is the first thoracic vertebra, and on either side, so here you are getting, this is the first rib with its costal cartilage. This is the costal cartilage of the first rib, and here this is actually the inlet of thorax. This is the inlet of thorax. So if you see what are the boundaries, you know, in this diagram, this is anterior side and here this is posterior side. Okay, so if you see the boundaries of this inlet, so coming to the boundaries, first anteriorly it is bounded by manubrium sterni. It is bounded by manubrium sterni. Posteriorly, if you see the boundary on posterior aspect, posteriorly, to be specific, it is bounded. Here you get superior surface of the first thoracic vertebra. So posteriorly bounded by superior surface of first thoracic vertebra, and on each side it is bounded, on each side it is bounded by, here it is in first rib and its costal cartilage. So it is bounded by first rib and its costal cartilage. Costal cartilage. So for this I have a model to show you. Here now, see here, now in this picture, now here you can see this is manubrium. Okay, I have now taken the full part of the sternum here because our focus is only on the inlet. So this is manubrium, this is the first thoracic vertebra, and these are the two ribs on either side, and the white color paper I have attached to show that these are the costal cartilages of the first rib. Okay, so here you get, this is the first thoracic vertebra, this is the body of the vertebra, you know, this is spine. Okay, anyhow, I have attached these ribs to the vertebra. Now coming to the inlet of thorax, here is the inlet of thorax. So if you see the boundaries, anteriorly it is bounded by upper border of the manubrium sterni. Posteriorly it is bounded by the superior surface of first thoracic vertebra, and on either side it is bounded by the inner border of the first rib with its costal cartilage. So that is about the inlet, boundaries of the inlet of the thorax. You know the parts of the first rib. So here, suppose this is now the first rib, here you get the head, this is the neck region, here is the tubercle, and this is shaft, which has upper surface, lower surface, inner border, outer border. This head of the first rib, now this is the first thoracic vertebra, this is body of the vertebra, here these two are the transverse processes, and this is spine of the vertebra which is facing posteriorly. Now the head of the first rib articulates with the body of the vertebra, while the tubercle articulates with the transverse process of the first thoracic vertebra. It is like this. Okay, so you imagine in the same way, here I have attached and made the inlet complete. Got it? So boundaries of the inlet of thorax are clear to you. Now coming to the next point, that is the shape of the thorax. So inlet of thorax. So inlet of thorax shape is reniform. It is reniform or kidney shape. It is reniform or kidney shape. Here also you can see very clearly. You can see very clearly, this is the shape. This is the shape. So it is kidney shape. Okay. Then, or you can say it is reniform. Size wise, if you see anteroposterior diameter here, from here to here, it measures about 2.5 inches anteroposteriorly, and transverse diameter of this inlet of thorax is double than its anteroposterior diameter, that is 5 inches. So if you see the size, anteroposterior diameter is approximately 2.5 inches. Okay, and the transverse diameter measures about 5 inches. Okay, now if you see the slope, so for the slope you have to take the section, vertical section here. Okay, you are taking the section in the midline and observing from the lateral view. So how is that picture? Means here you get, this is manubrium sterni, this is manubrium sterni. Okay, this is manubrium sterni. Okay, and now the inlet, or plane of the inlet will be like this. Plane of the inlet is like this, and if I draw the thoracic vertebrae, so thoracic, you know the thoracic vertebra show the concavity anteriorly. Accordingly we are drawing. So here you get the first thoracic vertebra. Okay, and suppose if you draw the line at the upper border of this manubrium sterni, it should reach to the upper border of T3 vertebra. That means here you will get, here this is T3 vertebra, and here you get the disc between T1 and the T2 vertebra here. Here the disc between T3 and T4 vertebra, and the T4 vertebra, actually the lower border, as you know, the lower border of T4 vertebra lies at the level of the sternal angle. So somewhere here will be the sternal angle. So anyhow, so this is Manubrium sterni. You have drawn first, second, third and fourth thoracic vertebra. This orange line indicates it is the plane of thorax. This is the plane of thoracic inlet. Plane of inlet. Now if you see this plane of inlet, it makes the angle of 45 degree with horizontal. It makes the angle of 45 degree with the horizontal in such a way that its anterior part is at the lower level than its posterior part. If you draw a line and measure the distance between the anterior end and the posterior end, the level difference in the level is 1.5 inches. Okay, that means if you see the slope or plane of inlet, it is directed downwards and forwards. It is directed downwards and forwards. The same thing we'll be writing here. Slope is directed downwards and forwards. So that is about the inlet. Now here also you can see again the direction. So the section, how is the section passing here? So you have taken here the section through the Manubrium sterni here, and here only one thoracic vertebra. There are 4 we have drawn, and you can see the anterior end is at the lower level than the posterior end. So these are the things in today's this video. We are going to see the diaphragm, these things, diaphragm, structures passing and applied aspect. These 3 things we'll see in the next video. So this is the part 1. This is the inlet of thorax part 1. Once we will revise the inlet of thorax again. See, inlet of thorax, it is also called as superior aperture of the thorax. Introduction wise, it is the narrow upper end of the thorax through which the thoracic cavity communicates with the root of neck. Now coming to the boundaries, anteriorly it is bounded by upper border of the Manubrium sterni, posteriorly by the superior surface of the first thoracic vertebra, on either side by the inner border of the first rib and its costal cartilage. Okay, that is about boundaries. Shape is kidney shape. It is reniform or kidney shape. Size or dimensions, anteroposterior diameter is 2.5 inches, transverse is 5 inches, double than the anteroposterior diameter, and then the slope of the inlet, it is directed downwards and forwards, and it makes the angle of 45 degree with the horizontal in such a way that its anterior part is 1.5 inches lower than its posterior end. And I'm sure you have understood up to here the inlet of thorax. For the rest of the part, please see the next video. Thank you.